Hello, I'm David Fox. I'm the Director of Studies, an instructor in art history and English, coach of the boys' swimming and diving team, and a house counselor. For the next few minutes, I want to introduce you to our network of student support, highlight a few resources, and share some observations as we approach the third year of the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm not surprised, and I imagine you will not be either, that on campus this year, we're hearing more students than in the past share that they feel less prepared for their classes and that they need more formal support from our counseling services. This is being fueled by several aspects of the pandemic, among them the social isolation and atomization, the upending of pedagogy and curriculum, and the constant states of flux and the unknown. Less than 50% of the students on campus right now were even on campus in the fall of 2019, before the pandemic. Less than 50% of the students even know what our normal was. As we try to reset, we cannot simply return to our old normal. It no longer exists. We can, though, rely on some of the structures and systems we have used with success in the past. I now want to talk about our network of student support, the ways in which we structure the faculty to support your child. With 1,189 students, Andover is a big place. And certainly there are lots of advantages of our size, but there are also challenges. And in order to support each of our students, we have 153 members of the faculty serve as point people. Each student has a point person, and this point person functions in two different ways. First, the point person is the point of contact for the student and family, as well as members of the faculty and staff. When a faculty member teaches classes, runs a dorm, and coaches, she could be working with anywhere between 30 and 120 students during a term. That's a lot of students. So we funnel information and communication about a student through the point person. It's the only way for us to have a system that works. Please use your child's point person as your contact at Andover. Second, the point person calls the plays, so to speak. The point person is working in collaboration with the cluster dean, the person who coordinates how to best support a student at any given time. For day students, the point person is their advisor. And for boarding students, the point person is someone connected to their dormitory, someone they see consistently in their campus home. And some boarding students also have an academic advisor who is not their point person. Together, the point person, the cluster dean, and the advisor, when not the point person, form the student's core team. And the core team checks in consistently with how the student is doing and how they might best support the student. Now, all Andover students struggle. And sometimes the core team needs some extra help in getting the student on track. And so then the student's core team is supported by the student's full team. This is the group of faculty members working with the student during a particular term, right? The point person, the cluster dean, the advisor, and also all classroom teachers. And if the student has a college counselor or academic skills specialist or a coach, they're members of the full team too. Finally, because the adult with whom the student feels closest may be a former teacher or house counselor or coach, someone who's not on the student's full team, the student may appoint one additional faculty member to the full team. So if the student wants their former house counselor to still be a member of their full team, they can do that. The full team uses a secure electronic message board to communicate about students. And as a student's core team and full team think about how best to support the student, they might do a range of things. Core and full teams can recommend or require that the student attend our Gelb Silent Study Hall, or attend our math or science help centers or our writing center. Each of these spaces is open every night before classes. Core and full teams can also recommend or require that a student meet with their teachers, meet with a counselor, go to the Academic Skills Center, meet with someone from the medical staff, or other specific faculty members. They can also recommend or require that the student visit our Office of Community and Multicultural Development, or our Brace Center for Gender Studies, or talk to a chaplain or our school nutritionist. They can also recommend or require that the student work with a peer tutor. We have peer tutors in most classes, and they're available to students who are really struggling. Core and full teams can also recommend or require that the student adjust their academic program. So reduce the number of courses that they're taking at a particular time, or change a level of a course. They can also recommend or require that the student adjust their non-academic program, their extracurricular activities, their athletic commitment. Now, I want to be clear that we recognize that sometimes these things are the best part of the student's Andover experience at a given moment. And so we do not do this lightly. While we absolutely believe in having those who work with your child most closely and who know your child best guide their Andover experience, the core team and the full team, we also want to ensure there is some consistency across students and some sort of global look at students. Accordingly, we have the Student Program Review Committee, which consists of myself, the Director of Studies, as well as the Assistant Dean of Students, the 5 cluster deans, and 2 additional faculty members, and we meet weekly. Throughout all these groups and levels of support, all these networks, we strive to keep the following questions in mind. How might we best ensure that the student feels a deep sense of belonging at Andover? They have to know, they have to understand that they belong here. How might we best ensure the student develops and possesses the types of capital that are valued in this community? We really value students who can advocate for themselves, students who understand how Andover works, the unwritten rules, the real rules of the game. How might we best ensure the student solidifies the skills and dispositions necessary for success? Do they have the time management skills, the organizational skills to be successful? And finally, how might we best ensure the student understands that improvement, not perfection, never perfection, is always possible? These are the questions that usually guide your child-student network as it seeks to best ensure your child finds success at Andover. All of us recognize that the COVID-19 pandemic has affected some communities around the world and some of students and families more directly and catastrophically than others. We also see, though, the same thing that all of our colleagues across public and independent schools are seeing. The pandemic has affected each of our students in complicated, intersecting, and likely unique ways. All of us know that adolescence is hard in the best of times. Teenagers need structure, consistency, limits, and boundaries. Teenagers need interaction, face-to-face interaction with peers and adults. Teenagers need to feel that they belong, that they're accepted. Teenagers need confidence, self-esteem, and resilience in moments of strife. Teenagers need all of that and so much more, and the pandemic has attacked each one. Our faculty and staff are striving to address those needs, to monitor how our students are faring, and to adjust accordingly. Much of this important work takes time, adapting policies and structures to meet change. To change the culture of Andover takes time. I do want to spend a few minutes, though, focusing on a few things that are in our immediate control, things that we can all do to help meet our students' needs. Several years ago, we surveyed the faculty, the students, and the parents. Among the questions we asked each group was what it means to be a successful Andover student and graduate. There were 30 possible answers to what it means to be successful, and each respondent selected 5. Each of the three groups, faculty, students, and parents, said that what it means to be a successful Andover student and graduate is to be happy, to be a good citizen, to be a good parent, that sort of thing. We also asked each group how they thought the other two groups would respond. How does the faculty, for example, think that the students and the parents responded to the question, what is it to be a successful Andover student and graduate? Each of these three groups responded that they think the other two groups value grades, college placement, high-paying jobs, that sort of thing. While the members of each group saw their own goals to be noble, they also perceived the members of the other two groups to be fueling the stress, the anxiety, the pressure. This may not surprise you, but I do think it is important to keep in mind. The intentions behind our words and actions are not necessarily the same as the perceptions of our words and actions. I hope we will all strive to help our students keep the truly important stuff in mind. I'm also thinking of an old adage of those who work closely with adolescents. If you're positive, they're positive. If you express confidence in them, they will have confidence in themselves. If you show your faith in them, even when they have none, they will be better off. This segues to my final observation. Adolescents do need structures and limits, some of which understandably faded last year during the height of the pandemic. We now seek to restore them. We now seek to hold students accountable for their actions and behaviors in ways that we did prior to the pandemic. For example, last year our teachers and point people were quick to grant extensions on assignments and then extend those extensions. This may have felt right in the moment, but it's something we want to limit going forward. If it has not happened already, I suspect that soon your child will mention that they need to stay up late in order to finish an example or complete a problem set or study for a test. Please help reinforce the messaging that, in the long term, is most beneficial. No doubt, quote, staying up late means different things to different people. But if your child says they need to stay up past 1 a.m. to complete their work, for example, tell them to go to bed. Tell them to not get up early the next morning to complete their work either. Instead, tell them to go to class and talk to the teacher about not having completed their assignments. What are some of the benefits of handling it this way? First, they'll get more sleep, which is critical. Second, they will have a bit more impetus to review their organization and time management skills. Third, they'll keep developing their ability to advocate for themselves. Fourth, and I think most important, they will learn that mistakes or even failures often result in minor consequences. So many of our students are petrified of making any mistake, of having any failure, yet we know that failure is often the greatest lesson. Know that when your child makes a mistake, when your child has that failure, that good failure, know that there is a network of adults on campus that surrounds them and that wants to help them to learn from it, wants to help them build resiliency. Among the several mottos of Andover is Fine Origine Pendit. The end depends upon the beginning. Everyone in your child's network knows the importance of these years and is committed to helping your child depart Andover well prepared for successful adulthood. Thank you.